back to Love Your Food. This week we have a very simple recipe for you. This is a lovely and basic mango sorbet. So we're going to take you right through from fresh mangoes all the way through to this really refreshing and really delicious sorbet. We used it in some drinks actually. We'll show you at the end where this event ended up. So we're starting off with our ingredients. We've got some mangoes, some sugar, and just a little bit of lemon juice. So getting started, we want to make a syrup. So we're going to start with our sugar and an equal amount of water. Now, all the amounts are going to be in the description below as usual. Now, we're not making a caramel out of this, so it's not super important to keep sugar crystals off the side of the pot, but it does help really reduce the chance that you're going to have any crystallization or anything. So it's a good idea to just pour from the outside in. So we're just going to bring this up to a boil, and once all of that sugar has dissolved and you've got that nice clear fully dissolved sugar in your syrup, we are going to take that off the heat. As soon as everything's dissolved, we're going to take it off the heat, and we want to let that cool down to about room temperature before we start using it. Meanwhile, we will start preparing our mangoes. So cut the stem off. Now, a mango has a big seed right in the middle of it, and you can see Chef Caleb here giving sort of a rough idea where you want to cut to avoid hitting that seed. Now, in our case, we don't have to be super careful about being pretty. There you can see he just nicked the corner of it, but that's roughly where you want to be. So if you do catch a little bit of seed, don't worry about it. Just scrape it off. It's very fibrous, and you don't really want it in your sorbet. So easiest way to get mango skin off is to cut it. As you can see here, just sort of score the fruit inside, and then slice it off the skin. Now, in this case, we don't need to worry about the mango looking really nice. We're not going to be serving it in pieces. We're going to be blending it. We're going to be hitting it with the stick blender, and it's going to be pureed before we start working with it. So in the case of something like this, it doesn't need to be pretty. It doesn't need to be in nice big even pieces or anything. It can be in whatever sizes you get off that skin. Now, to get the flesh off from around the seed, we're going to make sure that all the skin is off, and then again, we're just going to sort of carve it off. We're going to follow the shape of the seed, and just carve that mango flesh right off of there. Because again, it doesn't need to look pretty. We are going to be blending this. We're going to be hitting it with the stick blender and straining it before we use it. So you just want to avoid getting any pieces of the seed in there. And then once you have all your mango cut up, we are going to add probably about just half of the syrup that we made, reserving the rest in case we need it. Now, the rest of that syrup you can put in your fridge. You can use that for whatever you need syrup for. There's a lot of drinks that it's good in. And we're just going to hit that with our stick blender. We've got our Bamix, and we are going to just get that nice and smooth. So you can see you do need some liquid in there, so that's why we're adding the syrup at this point. You want to make sure that you have the syrup and you're getting everything nice and smooth and blended together in there. So there you see, once everything is well blended together, you've got everything pretty smooth. It's moving well. There's not any big chunks remaining or anything. You're going to make sure you get everything off of your blender. You can also do this in a food processor. You want to definitely hit the puree button on that. And then once everything is set, we are going to strain it. So we're going to put that into a strainer carefully so that you don't spill it into your container. And we're going to strain this through. We want a really beautiful, smooth final product. Now, mango can be kind of fibrous, so you do want to strain it to make sure you're getting any of that pulp out. And we just want that really nice, silky, smooth mango puree remaining. So easiest way is to get a nice angled or deep strainer like this and just push it through with a ladle. Now you can see here that all that's left in the strainer is quite a dry pulp. We're actually going to reserve that because it does still have a lot of flavor. It's a really, really delicious pulp, and you can use that in other things. We're just going to set that aside. It's going to live in the freezer. Now make sure you scrape the outside of your strainer because that's going to have a lot of that great smooth strained mango as well. So we want to get that sort of off of there. So we're going to add a little bit of that lemon juice that we were talking about earlier. And give that a good stir and make sure it's in. Now, you're also going to need a clean egg. And the reason is, we'll show you in a moment here, there's a test for if you've got the right balance of fruit to syrup and everything in there. And we're going to drop that cleaned egg into this bowl of mango puree. And if there's only basically like a dime-sized or a nickel-sized piece of the egg remaining floating on top, that's just about the right quantities of everything. It's going to float just the right amount if the sugar balance is correct with the mango and the lemon juice. So that's sort of a rough guide. It does work. We had very good luck with that. So you just want to make sure your egg is clean before you drop it into your nice puree. Now we have our ice cream maker ready here. So this has been in the fridge for a day or so, and it's already quite thick. You can see it's thickened up quite a lot. And we're going to add that to our ice cream maker, which the insert has been in the freezer, so it's very, very cold. And that's about as full as you want it to be because we're going to be adding that paddle, and we're going to be turning it. So you don't want it to slosh over the sides or anything because you'll just end up with little frozen bits of mango. So there you go. We're going to make sure that we're turning this. If some has already frozen to the sides, give it a good stiff turn to start, and then you want to go pretty slowly. And what we're doing is we're trying to get everything to freeze, but not in a solid piece. So we're trying to break it up as it freezes into this sort of grainy texture, sort of like a granita. And we're just going to slowly go around and around, making sure. Now you can see already that it is freezing quite well. There's some pieces in there. There's a nice void where it's you can see it's thickening quite a lot because it's freezing. And once you get it to the consistency you like, you're going to take that lid off. And if you can get the the rim off as well. And we're going to transfer this to a Tupperware container because we want to freeze it still. So now that it's got all of that air incorporated and it's been partially frozen and it's got that good grainy texture, we're going to actually pop it into the freezer in a vessel. So we're just going to put it in this nice plastic container. We're going to lid that up. We're going to scrape everything out of the ice cream maker so you can see those sort of chunks of ice coming out of the bottom of that. And get everything off of the paddle there as well. And then when it comes out of the freezer, it should be roughly this consistency. So you can see here, this is coming out of the freezer. It's actually, I apologize for the light. This is at a friend's place. He had a little party, and we brought this mango sorbet to make drinks with. And this is just about exactly the right consistency we wanted out of this, but our lighting isn't great. So just get a spoon, get a good scrape out of there, and you'll get those nice curls as it comes out of your container. It's a little bit better if it hasn't been super frozen when you serve it. You want it to be a little bit out of the freezer for a while, and you get those really nice texture, and that's it. It's really super delicious. We've garnished here with a little bit of mint, which is a very classic combination. Absolutely delicious, mixes well with lots of drinks, great on its own, very, very refreshing and clean flavor. Very, very highly recommended. So if you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.